Okay. Sorry about that. Alright, this is Silhouette Mirage for the Sega Saturn. If you're familiar with Treasure, they've been known to make some really, really cool stuff. And we're going to start out this game with beating up these little girls, I guess. I don't know, they're not actually girls, they're just like wearing a mask. But this game is like a run-and-gun boss rush kind of game. So there's definitely an emphasis on fighting bosses. And I have karaoke with me on co-coms. But it's quite late for her, so she probably won't be saying too much.
No, I'll say words. I'll say words.
Alright.
This is after all like my favorite, probably my favorite game ever, so.
Yeah. It's a wonderful game.
Yeah, although I am weird and prefer the US version on PlayStation 1 over this version.
Yeah, so I'm playing the very original version, and they ported it to the PS1 later to improve sales. Because they felt that the Saturn didn't have good enough saturation for the game. They really wanted to, like, franchise it out. So basically we're farming money to get, like, one of the most broken weapons in the game. And the way this game...
Oh, go ahead.
And same developer as Stretch Panic, yes.
Yeah, that's what I was going with. Same developer as Stretch Panic, and yeah, Treasure. This is one of Treasure's kind of forgotten games, I think.
Yeah, because they didn't publish it, and they didn't have like a major publishing arm in the West do it. Like, people know Mischief Makers, they know Gunstar Heroes, they even know like Alien Soldier, Ikaruga, maybe even Radiant Silvergun, but this game was pretty overlooked. But it's definitely an amazing game in its own right. But, so like the main mechanic of this game, if you're familiar with Ikaruga, is that you have like sides, depending on which side you're facing determines the element of damage you do. You could either do silhouette damage or mirage damage, and if you do the same element type, you just drain their spirit, which prevents them from attacking. And if you do the opposite element, then you deal HP damage, which of course defeats them. So we're just basically just punching enemies with our hair because we want to get 900 money to be able to buy the OP weapon, which is only in the Japanese version of the game that it's 900 money. In the US version, they rebalance the prices, probably not for the better.
Yeah, so what they did in the US version is, well, in the Japanese version, all the different levels, there's 6 levels to each weapon. There's 7 weapons, 6 levels each, and all the levels are the same price. So level 1, I think, is like 100 money, and then level 6 is 900 money. In the US version, however, they did it by weapon. So this weapon that we have is called Sarosa or Sloth, depending on your version. In the Japanese version, they're all named after the 7 deadly sins because gotta make those references. In the US version, Sarosa is, I think, like 50 at level 1 and 300 at level 6. Up to the one weapon they thought was like a giant, strong laser beam thing that is like 1200 in the US version, but is actually useless because of a different change they did. When Shentok was explaining about how when you shoot enemies, you take their spirit, you like reduce their spirit, which is like the bottom bar on our screen. We have a spirit too. In the US version, these guys are bullying you, wow.
I know, no kidding.
In the US version, you actually absorb the spirit from your enemies. Because also in the US version, when you shoot your weapons, you drain your own spirit. That does not happen here. The only way you can restore your spirit is by item drops or buying it from the little circles from a shop, so. Yeah, the US version had a lot of rebalancing done to make it harder. And also, it's more difficult. Some bosses have more HP. You might also do less damage. I haven't looked into the damage values, really. But, it's definitely a harder game.
Yep. And then, yeah, they basically just made a lot of changes in the US release that didn't really make sense and kind of limit your weapon choices because of the spirit drain. So basically in the US version there's only one really good weapon, and it's the weapon we're using. But in the Japanese version, most of the weapons are pretty solid. That you could basically use anything you want and it'll be okay for a speed run. Nice. And so this enemy is a neutral type, which you can't damage directly. You can only damage by reflecting damage back at them. And luckily, we got the best luck pattern on this boss, where they do the Gatling gun attack. Because you can also
the Gatling gun just one-shots it.
Yeah, unless you mess it up like I do sometimes.
Or it doesn't do it. In the US version, as comparison to bosses making harder, those walkers have 20 more HP and don't get taken out by a Gatling gun attack, even though reflected shots are stronger in that version. But you have to knock it off the cliff, which is the other way to damage those things. Every time you fight a walker, there's a cliff nearby. You can just push him off.
And then there we just took down Moses. He basically joins us at the end after we defeat him and acts as our guide to take us to different parts of the world. And now we're going to some really cool city. So basically, the story doesn't make much sense in this game, but the gist of it is that there was an event that happened that caused the world to be split into the two Silhouette and Mirage elements, and there are no humans left. They've all been transformed into like those kind of creatures that we see as we come through.
We're coming up. There might be some people, at least more people-shaped things.
Yeah. There we go. Working designs just made every game they localized more difficult for the sake of making things more difficult. That was like Big Ireland's thing.
Yeah, usually it didn't work out. Like, I know Exile and Kadash were like two big ones, where Lunar 2 as Sega CD as well, where it kind of didn't work out. But then you got games like Magic Knight Rayearth, where it did work out, because that game is laughably easy in the Japanese version, and they actually made it like more fun in the US release.
And so, oh yeah, that dude was Nardo. I guess he's like part of some security and had to take us out.
He's loud.
Yeah, he's loud. Everybody's just throwing stuff on top of him, including a whole refrigerator and a soccer ball.
Yeah.
Or a football.
If you take too long in that fight, because his armor clanks around, they'll start throwing the stuff during the battle, and it does neutral damage. So neutral damage, by the way, when it hits you, it takes both life and spirit.
Yeah. So now we have Zohar, who's basically like us, but like a split personality instead of both in the same. Nope, don't you dare. But for this boss, we don't actually have to defeat them, we just have to get them down to 500 health.
Bad for not getting the juggle.
Yeah.
You can slam Zohar on the ground over and over again and just stun lock them into being attacked, and they'll just kind of melt.
Yeah, and the very first time you fight Zohar is probably the easiest time to get the juggle, because after the first time he gets quite slippery. Oh wow.
Bosses and enemies in general have like I guess a hidden grab stat or something. Some enemies are harder to hold on to than others. There's one coming up in a couple stages that has like a really, really low grab stat, and actually, at least in the US version, she has a unique sound clip, speech clip, if you grab her and hold on to her for too long.
Alright, that's like the first time I've gotten that pattern in a long time. So like the second time you fight the walker, it's very rare that they'll do the Gatling attack, and generally you want to just knock them onto the ground to deal half their health and damage.
Yeah, they won't walk all the way to the edge in this version. You do have to push them back by shooting them with your rapid fire weapon.
Yeah.
And by the way, I know we do allow turbo controllers for this run. Shentok does use the turbo controller, but this level 6 weapon, you can just hold the attack button down and it'll shoot automatically.
Yeah, I mostly use the turbo for text mashing, because mashing hurts. Also, if you get below 200 spirit, you lose the auto fire.
Yeah, so then you have to mash.
Yeah.
Although I'm pretty good at mashing, so I can. That was a 2. Oh,
That's
we
a
gotta
1.
run away. Gotta run away.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to just.
Oh, I never noticed
kill
there's a
those
number
ones
3
that-
on him.
that-
Look at that.
Sometimes it's good to kill the ones that run away like that, cause.
They get funky.
Oh, he hopped in, I think.
Yeah, sometimes they hop in, sometimes they just vanish.
I didn't count if you only had 5 run up. I didn't see.
I think it was only 3. I wasn't paying attention, honestly.
I mean 5 total.
Oh, 5 total.
Yeah, because since there's one guy waiting at the top.
Yeah. So yeah, giant gun. Very clever enemy design. Okay, wow, only 1. This is pretty unlucky. You can one-cycle this fight, but it's very difficult to do. It's very luck-dependent in the Japanese release. And the US release, it's fairly easy, at least, in comparison.
Yeah. US release, you can. I think you just need at least 5 bullets in the first cycle, and you can 5 good bullets. You kind of you don't want to get a dud.
Yeah.
Japanese one, you have to get 6, I believe, and like majority of them have to be the giant laser.
I'm too close. Oh no, I'm not too close. Okay, so should be only 1 more cycle. Nope, I saw that blue one.
Oh wow, it didn't load 2 of them. Gun! Gun!
Come on, gimme. Gimme.
Shoot! Come on.
It's a dud!
Yep. It's a dud! 1, 2...
Okay, well 1 blue got in, I'm okay.
Wow, I've never seen a gun this messed up before. Excuse me.
Okay, there we go, 1 more shot. Okay, yeah, that was a...
Of course, a laser's the last shot.
Yeah. So yeah, different kinds of shots do different types of damage. So now we're getting everybody's favorite boss in this game, Dynamis. And of course, she's a giant, like, fish tentacle anime girl.
She likes flowers very much, by the way.
And in order to damage her, we just have to damage her tentacle claws that come out. What the heck is that going? There we go.
Yeah, it's rough when she gets far to the back when she's red, because that's like the opposite side. Of course, she's diving.
I was expecting at least 1 dive for the fans.
That's 2. She's gonna
Oh,
up.
I didn't even realize that thing was there. Yep. Is she doing another dive? I can't tell.
She's trying to come up underneath you, I think.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, she's doing that
I was wondering
one.
what was happening.
Yeah, because she kept moving, she was like fun to follow you.
Get off me. So 2 more tentacles, and of course they're off to the side. And is she gonna?
And she's diving.
She's diving again. Good thing this is a marathon. Let's see what she's doing now. Is she going? Nope, she's doing the blue tentacles. Okay, there we go. Take that. And
Pretty
she just
freaking
crashed.
flowers.
Yeah, in the US release, she's just like, buy
general-
my pretty freaking flowers.
As a general rule, I don't tend to purchase flora from giant homicidal flying fish.
But yeah, between like Saturn and PS1 versions, there's a lot of little differences, and especially in graphics. Like, there's more layers of background scrolling in the Saturn version that was removed in the PS version. PlayStation does have like an extra boss that, if you're really good, that you'll fight. She does say something about flowers. I know a little bit of Japanese, and I hear the word flower in there.
Yeah, when she's crashing in the building, she says "Ohana kate," which means "buy my flowers."
What do you know? Working designs being accurate.
Yeah, they were pretty accurate with like what she's saying. I think. So I don't know what China, the main character, says like after she defeats her. I haven't like parse the text. So if we got any translators out there, if anybody wants to do a translation of this game, of the Japanese version, and slap it into the PS1 version so we can have the PS1 playstyle with the original Japanese text, will everybody in the all four runners in the community will love you forever.
So now this is like sort of an auto scroller normally, but you can, if you outspeed the wheel that falls down, it doesn't lock your camera onto it, so you can just continuously outspeed it. And we get some really hot jams here. Like I love all the tracks in this game. There's so much good music.
Really cool that also the US version. It came with a soundtrack CD. It's just on the disc. It's one of those discs that you can just put in your CD player and skip the first track, and it has the whole soundtrack of the game on it.
Yeah, so it sounds like they just use Red Book audio then. I'm guessing the Saturn version used the sound chip then, unless you can do that on the Saturn as well, with the Saturn disc as well.
I've never tried.
Neither have I. But here's Pablo. He's very shy. You gotta look away, otherwise he'll just continue to hide. But it turns out he has a little secret.
Yeah.
Turns out he's a werewolf.
So here we have to, grab him, and he darts around a lot and everything, but he goes down pretty quickly. In the US version, though, and maybe in the Japanese PlayStation version, I don't know, I haven't played that version in years, but you can just punch him into the right corner and he'll forget how to boss.
Yeah, he'll just stand there.
He can break out of it eventually. He does, if you wait long enough or move far enough away, he'll start attacking again, but why would you do that?
Exactly. So now we have Malakim, who's this like little happy thing, and we just have to shoot it with
smiley face from heck.
Yeah. We have to shoot it with a color, and then the boss will become that color. And generally we want blue because the red side has a homing laser. Also,
we got him under 144 that first round, which is nice.
Yeah, that was really
because he disappears again at half health, which is 144, around half, which is 144, and you can squeeze in another bit of damage if you're shooting fast enough. So yeah, red has a homing laser, blue just has that giant laser, which is just pretty easy to dodge.
Yeah, that was a pretty fast fight though. Luckily, he was on the correct side both times.
That was fast.
So now we're off onto their next location, but Zohar's gonna interrupt us.
Yeah, Zohar hacks into the Nexus and
turns everything to math.
Math.
Oops. You're not supposed to grab me, I'm supposed to grab you. Whatever, I'll take it. That works. Okay, now we can actually leave.
Yeah, Moses just hacks back into the Nexus and rescues us.
Yeah, thank you, Moses. We beat you up, but you turned out to be a true friend.
Yeah, because the reason everybody's trying to beat us up is, apparently we're possibly the messenger of destruction, even though we're called the messenger of justice. That's what we think we are. But, yeah, there's a lot of people for some reason that don't want us to restore the world the way it was or find out what was going on, because we kind of have amnesia too, so that's why we're also just kind of going through these areas kind of aimlessly a little bit.
Yeah, we're just kind of wandering around, going from place to place, and people want to fight us. And here we have Samson driving this lovely 8-wheel car, and Delilah in the back, just drinking some wine. Of course, Samson, being the good driver, doesn't want to disturb Delilah, despite doing nothing but disturbing him.
He was told, hey, go check out what landed on top of my nice car. So Samson just, explodes the top of it.
That makes a lot of sense. Who knew the Harbinger would be so cute? I mean, isn't that like the plot of several anime?
Yeah, that's what it says in the Japanese version at least, was like, hey, something landed on the car, go check it out, and he just smashes the roof. It's like, can you do it less destructively? And get rid of the thing that landed on the roof?
So this stage is like an auto-scroller of sorts. There's like the health values that you hit, and then it'll go into another section, but you can take as long as you want each section.
Yeah, for new people to this game, if you're playing it casually, a really good strategy to use is to drain the boss's spirit so they can't attack you, and then you can just take your time draining their HP. Yes, it takes twice as long because you gotta drain both bars.
Yeah.
This works on most bosses. There are some at the end where you can't drain their spirit, so hopefully by then you know how to play the game.
Yeah, you'll have a better weapon by then.
True, if you don't use the secret shop, that little level 1 Sarosa there does level up with you if you don't, use the secret shop, or use any, I think it's if you don't use any shops. But yeah, give it a whirl casually, try out some of the other weapons. There's another one that is really good for the speedrun, Pride or Friday. It's like a boomerang, so it has a little bit longer reach and can juggle enemies a little better. But it does, I think it overall does about the same or slightly less damage overall for most bosses. There are some bosses that it eats it up though.
Yeah, it's basically if a boss can take multiple hits per its attack frames, it does more damage. But for the most part, it's about the same or a little bit less.
Oh, and you have 10 continues, so if you do die, you have 10 continues to get through the game. And the Saturn version has no saves, so you do have to beat it in one sitting, though.
Yeah. After a few tries, it's not terribly difficult to do. Once you get the mechanics down and understand how things work. But it's definitely not an easy game. It definitely takes a bit of practice to understand the game, like any treasure game. Except for Gunstar Heroes. Gunstar Heroes is really easy. Like, that's the only game I've known by Treasure to be, like, really easy without being a game designed for kids like McDonald's Treasure Land.
Yeah. Astro Boy wasn't too difficult. It has has a couple rough bosses, but it wasn't like... I wasn't, like, bashing my head into the wall difficult or anything.
Yeah. So we
Very
have
good game.
Faust here, who's like a TV star, I guess. We're at, like, a broadcast station. And
we crashed into a broadcast station. Hold still. There he goes.
He never holds
wanted
still
to hold.
for me.
Sometimes he'll just jump in the corner, on the right side, and just jump over and over again. We're like, okay, we can just shoot you. It's fine.
Yeah, I haven't seen that since I started running. Or since like at the beginning of my runs, my first couple runs, he was always so kind to me, and now he's just perpetually a meanie.
Yeah, he's a good boss to grab and juggle because he does move very fast.
Yeah.
So here's a bunny girl.
Yeah.
Oh wait, it's just a person behind a sign.
Yeah, we're on a game show now, and we're trying our luck. And so far, we're getting good luck by getting nothing. Oh, dang, that was almost a one cycle. Okay, good. We don't want anything to drop out, because that just takes more time.
Yeah, if you want stuff to drop out, maybe you kind of want it, like the items or whatever. What you really want is the lucky, because then it'll bring down a blue lightning bolt that'll hit her and do a lot of damage, so you can save some time with that. You don't want the smiley face, because that brings down a pink lightning bolt and you have to get out of the way or else you'll take either HP or spirit damage.
Oh, you can't reflect it?
I don't think so. I think because it's coming vertically and it's like a constant beam, that you can't really reflect it back at her.
That would make
It's kind of
sense.
like... It's kind of like this guy's nose beam. By the way, we're at soup now. It's just soup. It's like this guy's nose beam. His attack is a giant nose beam, where you can reflect it to like protect yourself, but you can't. It doesn't like reflect. The angle is wrong, so it won't reflect anywhere.
Makes sense. So yeah, we're basically poisoning this guy's soup, and he breathes in the bubbles, and every time he breathes in purple bubbles, it does 8 points of damage. Every time he breathes in red bubbles, he gets a lot of spirit, depending on how many red bubbles there are.
Yeah, a little unfair, because, you know, he can suck in all purple bubbles and only take 8 damage. But he can suck in, like, a bunch of... He can suck in a bunch of pink bubbles and do not much damage. Has he really sniffed that much to get down to 68 already?
I know, this is good. This is nice. But yeah, I don't know if we've had any donations, but this is a good time for them.
Currently we don't have any donations, but we can tell you that we would like to thank ESA for supporting this marathon. Besides providing us with their channel for streaming, they are sharing their gear, technical assistance, and sponsors. Be sure to check them out on ESA Summer Online from the 14th of July to the 2nd of August. Even their games list, or schedule I mean, is out tomorrow, so another thing to keep an eye out.
Looking for clothes at the soup store. Where else would you go for clothes? Okay, now he's being slow again. But there we go. Come on, needs to get some bubbles up. So he needs to breathe in 4 more times? No. Yeah. Yeah, 4 more times, because he does 8, because there's like a leftover 4 points of damage. And then, yep. Okay, come on, give me some enemies. There we go.
I guess if you wanted to be fancy, you could jump between the things, but I think it just wastes time that way, because Desire Sensor will just spawn the enemies on the opposite side you're on anyway.
Yeah, it's just all luck-based.
Yeah, this is... After basically starting from the gun boss in Stage 2 on, every boss has some form of RNG to it.
Yeah. That wasn't a bad fight, though. Like, it's not the best I've done, but it's not that bad. It's a bit tedious, but at least if you casually, you can just keep moving around. But don't worry, soup prevails. Clearly this guy doesn't like pumpkin soup. But I've had pumpkin soup, it's delicious. But yeah, now that we've taken care of Delilah, now we're off to our next place, which is some destroyed city. Yeah,
I think as Moses puts it, it's like as close as he can get us to. We're heading to Ito, by the way. This is the closest he can get us to it. And at first we think it's Ito, but it's not.
So yeah, we got this giant two-headed worm thing that just moves around by lunging their heads.
Excuse me, it's a goat sheep snake.
A goat sheep snake, I love it. So he's like,
one head's a goat, one head's a sheep. In the U.S. version, the sheep head speaks all properly and is called like the professor, and the other one talks like a surfer dude.
Yeah.
And it eats you.
Yeah, basically, we're gonna eat you, but you could choose which one of us gets to eat you. And we go left in the Japanese version because it's one text box, whereas in the US version, going right is one text box. But they're both basically the same path, just mirrored. Oh, right, I need to change my weapon back. So this is like one of the probably the worst areas in the game because both of the bosses are neutral type, which means you can only damage them by reflecting their attacks, and it's very inconvenient. Yeah. Although he's not being terrible.
With this guy. What you can do with this guy is try to lure him into those colored webs he shoots out, so you reflect the colored webs and then hope he stands in them.
Ow. Oh well, dying's fine. Although it killed all the webs, I was not expecting that.
Yeah, I think he had a sprite limit with your money coming out or something.
Makes sense.
So this guy takes a long time to get go down in this version, just because the the little okay, the little bombs he shoots out when he tries to tether you do a lot less damage in this version. You can get him in 3 hits with those in the US version. So
Really?
he can be a little annoying. Yes, it's consistent. As long as he does those 3 attacks right away, it's consistently 3 hits. So.
And now we get my least favorite boss in this game, where you just have to
The
spend the entire
worst
time,
boss.
yeah, reflecting his attacks back at him, or his troops attacks back at him, and it's just a really unpleasant fight. No, darn it! I grabbed him when I meant to. Okay, now they're just being jerks.
Being iframed. Any switch colors. Be sure to switch your weapon, by the way. You do not want to lose your level 6 weapon, and this is a very easy place to lose it, just because of the amount of enemies, and you're probably going to be taking a lot of spirit damage. If you run out of spirit when you have multiple weapons, you will absorb your currently equipped weapon.
Nope. I wanted to go down, not up.
And if you absorb your level 6 weapon, then it's run is dead.
The run gets a lot harder.
So a trick that I found that you can do, as long as his minions are neutral type, is you can hold him in front of his minions and he'll take damage from their shots. It's not...
I keep grabbing them on accident.
It's not reliable enough to, like, use, but it exists.
I don't know, I'm digging whatever he's doing right now.
Yeah, this is nice. That's a nice ending. It was a little brutal getting juggled around like that, but that ending was, I think the enemy threw a grenade, and it exploded, and, yeah.
It's a rough fight. Howdy, Owl. So we finally made it out of the sheep goat snake. But, of course, they're not letting us get away that easily. Dang, my spirit's is in a pretty rough spot, though.
Yeah, I think your HP is relatively the same, so it might be good to smash your face into Megiddo here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't switch. I wouldn't even switch back to level 6 weapon just in case, because he might do roses at you.
I can change back if he does roses.
Could I quickly interrupt with a donation?
Sure.
Alright, we have a $20 donation from Frillhouse451. Without a comment, but muchly appreciate for your donation.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, he's just being rude, but it doesn't help that I'm... okay, I'm gonna take that death. Okay, there we go. So fortunately, since they give you a bunch of lives, we can just kind of death abuse when we need to.
There's that crunchy Saturn lag. Yeah, death abuse is...
There we go.
I flinch every time he does the jump with the roses that shoot out in an arc. When you're close, you can just get demolished by those because they'll all hit you and they do neutral damage, and it'll just drain your life and your spirit. And I've lost runs. It's been a very long time since I lost runs. I've been running this game for 14 years almost now.
She's been that long.
So yeah, this is my first speed game. I started speed gaming in 2006. So, yeah, I haven't lost a run like to the roses like that in a long time, but I still flinch every time they come up.
Okay. Okay, so now I'm just trying to kill these enemies to reduce the lie because these Ooh, nice.
I
Got a
think
nice
they both get
reflective
Gatling
back.
guns there. Yeah, so here's 2 walkers. One walks slow, one walks fast.
And they're both obnoxious.
Yeah.
Luckily, they're...
We want to push him off the edge.
Yeah, because for whatever reason, the ledge is still considered there. Okay, awesome, got them
Nice.
both. That was actually better than I was expecting.
Yeah, they did the Gatling gun at the same time, and I think they both took about equal damage from it.
Yeah, that was really lucky.
I almost think they have those, like, gunners there, the gunner polypeepers there, to, like, help you reflect shots, but it just, like, creates so much lag and stuff you have to dodge that that's just easier to destroy them before the fight starts.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay, there we go. Okay, so here you're gonna do the crouch dash, because these falling pieces will hit you if you don't do a crouch dash. And I got mixed up in one of them in a run I had the other day. It was not fun.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're neutral. They're neutral, of course.
So we're finally getting close to the Eden's core, which is like a supercomputer where like the whole accident happened, I guess. And then this guy
Yeah, it was
is
basically kind of ground zero for the world-changey eventy thingy.
yeah. Now we get to fight Galgalin, who's another neutral type boss. This one's pretty interesting, where you have to feed him enemies, and you have to feed him enemies that are the opposite color of his wings.
He's a trash compactor dragon
Yeah.
with grabby hands.
So we just try to lure the enemies to his grabby hands and hope he picks them up, and we want to do like 2 phases of 3 and 1 phase of 4. And it doesn't really matter the order as long as we're efficient about it. And he'll try to focus on enemies that are the same type he is, so we just have to get rid of them so that make sure that he grabs the correct ones. So I'm just gonna make the call to kill that one. Okay, there we go. Yep. Okay, we're good. So I just have to remember to make sure that he eats 4 on one of them. So I just went for 3 because he like picked them up in a weird way.
You want to keep them kind of even, so you want him kind of... If you're doing a 4, you want him to do 2 and 2 at the same time.
Yeah.
So you hope that he picks them up at the same time. So this one's probably going to be another 3, I'd say. Just because he's already spinning the 1, so... if he picks up the wrong enemy, you can destroy them until they start spinning. So as you see, the pumpkin just started spinning there. He got really uneven. So you really want to hope that he picks them up evenly, but sometimes he doesn't.
Yeah. Okay, so now he has 4. So he won't grab any more because the 4s and the maxes that he'll put into his stomach.
Yeah, you can tell when he'll stop grabbing. If you look at his little trash compactor part in the middle, we'll start squishing them and, juicing the enemies. And the color will start blinking. And honestly, I do not know what happens if he eats all of the same color that he is. I haven't tried it in so long.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Regain spirit?
But yeah, what happens when he maxes out Spirit? Does he do a nose?
No, because he starts with max Spirit, but all of his attacks take a lot of Spirit.
Makes sense.
So, I guess it just means he does his attacks again. I don't know if he heals health. I should try this sometime.
Why are you going all the way down there? Okay, awesome.
He's reaching.
I know, but he was reaching below the screen.
He's reaching!
Okay, kill that one. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're good now.
I should like test out what this guy does with, if you get same color, because it's been forever. Unfortunate thing is, like, since this version doesn't save, as far as we can, there's a save screen like in the game code, and it's like in the manual, but I don't know how to access it, or if it like
I don't think it was ever finished.
Does anything. So there's no way to save in this version. The PS1 version has saves, but you can only have 1 save per memory card. So there's not an easy way to test test things in this game because I only have 2 memory cards.
And one of those memory cards with the bank switchers on it.
Those have always failed on me.
Yeah, because they're cheaply made. So now we get Zohar one more time. Okay,
this one's
wow.
on a timer.
Oh my god, I got the juggle. It is so hard to get to juggle this Zohar.
14 second Zohar. So, there's a timer there for a reason. You can either stall Zohar out, and then I'll take you to a different boss, one of my favorite music in the game, by the way. She's an easier boss. I think she has the same HP, but the problem is she's like a giant butterfly. In her second phase, she gets a lot of iframes when she does attack, so she's slower overall. So even though this boss, by defeating Zohar, is harder, it doesn't take as long, because...
You can constantly deal damage, and also you're not waiting 2 minutes.
Yeah, there are some iframes when they are changing elements, because they can do that.
Yeah, so it turns out Zohar's an Archangel, which is like the Dynamis that you saw earlier, and Galgalin, and some other giant bosses.
Yeah, basically Dynamis, Malakim, Galgalin, and the snake, goat sheep snake. It's called Prince Dam in the US version. I don't know what their name is in this version.
Probably something similar.
Probably something similar.
I could check, but
they're all They're called Guardian Angels, but I guess Archangels is what they use here. No, did they use Guardian Angel here? I don't know.
Yeah, this boss has
Please
a lot of
translate
health.
this game.
Okay, and a lot of lag because he's like way up there.
Can I get 2 cycle, I think?
Yes.
Yep, you got 2 cycle.
Yeah.
Apparently it's really tight. I usually get 3 cycles on Zohar on this fight. I think I noticed that his pants were flying off when he was changing colors. So that's like his pants fly off at half health and start zooming around the screen.
And then Zohar turns into math.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like my commentary.
And
I like talking about this game.
Yeah. Kari knows a lot about this game, that's why I always have her with me on this.
Except plot. I probably should learn the actual plot to this game, but...
Nah.
Effort.
Who plays
we
a game
have to play
for the
through
plot?
it slowly.
So now we have the choice to either save the world or leave it as is, and the faster method is to leave it as is, because it's a much shorter fight. And I wanted to offer as an option as an incentive, but I cannot do the good ending fight consistently. It is hard.
It is very hard. The true ending fight. So here we're just fighting Megiddo again. So I'll explain the true ending fight. If you pick the left option there, you end up in like a 2-phase boss fight where the first one you're going up an elevator, and you have to fight 3 waves of like robot forming. That was a fast first phase. I
will mention that time is coming up soon.
Anyway, 2-part fight, really annoying, a lot of iframes, a lot of attribute switching, and the first half of it is neutral type. So, we have a new attack here that we're using.
Yep, Parasite
Come on, be
Bomb.
nice, be nice.
And he is being very nice.
Rude, okay.
Okay, there we go. I'm just gonna take the death so I can get my spirit back. Basically, you can only attack him when he's attacking you.
Whoa, look at you! You were like a ghost.
Oh, because it was probably like 30 FPS. Okay. And now he's just being a jerk.
Yeah, he's being a jerk.
Yeah, he does that. And
you probably try to shoot him? Throwing himself off the edge.
Okay, there we go, in time. There we go. So he was pretty upset that we didn't do what we were set out to do. And there's like 2 endings for this game. In the ending we chose, basically the world stays the same, but we get to live in it as, I don't know, however you live in this game. And in the good ending, you restore the world back to normal, but you live as a ghost of sorts. Like, people don't notice you exist, and you just kind of wander around.
Yeah, no one knows you saved the world.
Yeah.
And I think each of the 4 different paths does have different text at the end, depending on, like, how you got there, even if the ending itself is the same. The PS version, both versions, add a 5th quote-unquote path, that is fighting a special boss called the Reaper. And at least in the US version, beating all 5 paths opens up a secret options menu with like difficulty settings. You can change the shops, and then what I learned like 10 years after I started playing, there's something like that. If you press, I think, start on the secret options screen in the US version, it gives you even more options, including like speeding up the game or slowing it down.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I always knew it existed, but could never find it. And I think Chaos 42666 is the world record holder in every category, US, NJP, and all paths.
Yeah,
found that out. Like, yeah, if you just press a different button here, you access the whole options menu. Like, oh, okay. Been wanting to know how to do that for years. Yeah, this game is amazing. Highly recommend picking up a copy. If you have a Japanese PSN account, it's like pretty cheap there. Otherwise,
you're
on the
PS3
to pay
or
about...
PSP, maybe even the Vita. Like I said, you have to have a Japanese account.
Yeah, it's about I think $60 to $80 now. This game, both versions.
It's a bit pricey,
So
but not
too
terribly
bad.
so. But yeah, thank you so much for having us for UKSG. Hopefully, y'all be able to do it in person next year.
Give us an excuse to visit
Scotland.
visit Europe.
I got a lot of friends there. Well, it was also on the PlayStation.